A little bit about the job to get started with. It's not just a job, it's sort of probably the most important job. The title that we have going right now is Director of Operations, but it's really kind of so much more than that. Responsibilities and requirements are really quite extensive. First category for the requirements would be mobility. This job requires that you must be able to work standing up most or really all of the time, constantly on your feet, constantly bending over, constantly exerting yourself, a high level of stamina.
Okay.
That's a lot.
For how many hours?
135 hours to unlimited hours a week. It's basically 24 hours
That's
a day,
crazy.
7 days. Now, this position requires excellent negotiation and interpersonal skill. We're really looking for someone that might have a degree in medicine, in finance, and the culinary arts. You must be able to wear several hats. Associate needs constant attention. Sometimes they have to stay up with an associate throughout the night. Being able to work in a chaotic environment, if you had a life, we'd ask you to sort of give that life up. No vacations. In fact, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and holidays, the workload is going to go up, and we demand that with a happy disposition.
That's almost cruel. That's almost a very, very sick, twisted joke.
But when there's time to sleep or...
Oh, no time to sleep.
Yeah, all-encompassing almost.
That's exactly right.
365 days a year?
Yes.
No, that's inhumane.
That's very insane.
The meaningful connections that you make and the feeling that you get from really helping your associate are immeasurable. Also, let's cover the salary. The position is going to pay absolutely nothing.
Excuse me?
No. Nobody's doing that for free.
Yeah, pro bono. Completely for free.
No.
What if I told you there's someone that actually currently holds this position right now? Billions of people, actually.
Who?
Moms.
So, Demars, you're a mom? Then yes, girl, I have 4 kids, girl. And you're a full-time student? Yep, I'm going to school for nursing. How do you handle it all? Do you not get overwhelmed having 4 kids? Girl, I was built for this.
We talk about our lives, now the conversation switches. We compare cesarean scars, episiotomy stitches. It's the motherhood, it's another hood. I'd like to welcome you, but now you're here for good. We go from nappy rush to ending family feuds, and I'm flooding up your timeline with my baby.
People fail to realize that one must be built for the job. Being built for the job means that I realize kids are going to do crazy stuff. I feel like kids should be kids. So when I find myself using my grown-up mind and thinking to myself, why in the hell did you just draw circles on the dog? I remember that they are kids, and their imagination gets the best of them at times. I just explain why that's not okay and redirect their attention to something more appropriate, even if it's having to tell them 2 or 3 times in a row. Everything doesn't call for a whipping or a punishment. You have to have patience. So here I am a year after the birth of my youngest, enjoying everything that my little humans have to offer. And although sometimes they make me mad as a hatter, I embrace the madness. I believe that children should be themselves. Don't get me wrong, my kids have rules, but I allow them to express themselves. Most grown people act as if kids don't have thoughts or feelings. This, in my opinion, only makes them suppress their emotions, turning them into grown people who are unable to communicate. Me? I nurture my kids' very being. No, my kids are not bad, and no, my hands are not full. My kids are kids, and I was built for this. A common reading of The Glass Menagerie is that Amanda is the cause for her children's struggles, but in fact, Amanda's good intentions are often overlooked and misinterpreted. Amanda fell in love and married the wrong man. No longer was she to just sit home and look pretty, she now had to work. This aspect of her life she never overcame. This is the very reason why Amanda acts the way that she does and is often misunderstood. She labors grotesquely to mold the lives of her adult children into American success stories through nagging and moralizing, an attempt epitomized by the unendurable cheery rise and shine with which she awakens her son Tom each morning, and which grates on our ears like fingernails on a chalkboard. Not content to carp on Tom's eating habits, his smoking, his lack of interest in his job, his late hours, and his insatiable appetite for movies, she tries to impose her Puritan morality on him by censoring his ratings of D.H. Lawrence. Amanda is unjust to Tom and blaming him for the failure of her ham-handed campaign to ensnare a suitable husband for daughter Laura, unreasonably faulting him for not knowing that the gentleman caller was engaged to be married and forgetting that Tom tried to dissuade her from the ill-fated scheme in the first place. Amanda is no less overbearing and ill-advised in her attempts to manage her daughter's life, and although her disappointment upon learning that Laura has stopped attending business college is understandable, the exaggerated manner of her dismay and recriminations neutralized the compassion we might otherwise have felt for her difficult situation. That such compassion is in fact an element of the play's vision, which is clear from Williams' opening directions. There is much to admire in Amanda, and as much to love and pity as to laugh at.
In Robert Hayden's poem, The Whipping, the speaker is observing an incident taking place across the street. He sees an old woman beating a small boy, presumably the boy's mother, although the poet did not specify this. As the woman administers the beating, she shouts about how the boy deserves to be whipped for his misdeeds. She also justifies the beating by saying that she is blameless and in the right. It is the boy's fault he is being beaten. The boy is trying to escape the punishment by running across the yard. As he does so, he tramples the flower beds and begs for the woman to stop the beating. However, she shows him no mercy. In spite of the fact that she is very overweight, she chases after him and gets him in a corner. The beating finally ends only when the stick breaks, causing the speaker to recall memories of being beaten as a child. He remembers having his head trapped between the knees of either his mother or father, he does not say which, and enduring a beating. He struggles to escape but cannot. He recalls the swats but also says that the worst thing was not the beating itself but the fear of it. While the beating was going on, he felt alienated from the parent who was administering it. He no longer recognized the person's face as that of someone he knew or loved. The speaker description of the old woman after the beating has finished gives the speaker the interpretation of her feelings at the moment, which is that she has somehow cleansed herself of something through her act of beating the boy. The speaker thinks that she is in some sense taking revenge on someone else for beatings she herself has suffered in the past. Okay, listeners, another important aspect of motherhood is the most important, labor and delivery. This process is seen as beautiful to some, but can be the scariest event in a woman's life. This is my story. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was visiting my uncle and had to use the restroom. I went and there was a tiny spot of blood and pain in my lower right side. I visited my uncle for a few minutes, and once I got home, I popped 2 Tylenol and went to sleep. I kept getting up to pee as most pregnant women do, and at about 3 a.m., I had to really go. Go. I just happened to look down, and when I did, my heart dropped. I screamed no and ran to wake my boyfriend up. I told him we had to go now, and the only thought I had was that I was losing my baby. I drove about 80 miles per hour and ran at least 4 lights to get to UAB. I'm running, yelling that I'm pregnant and need help, and of course the waiting room is packed. The nurse comes in and tells me to lie on the bed and the doctor does an exam. I'm 3 centimeters dilated and his head is still up. I get to a room and ask the nurse, couldn't they just push my bulging bag back in and sew me shut since I had to go to work? They really laughed at that, but I was dead serious. So fast forward a few hours and the doctor enters. My mom, dad, and boyfriend are in the room with me. She checks to see how far dilated I am and accidentally breaks my water. Gross, I know. Imagine unprepared nurses when they got splashed. Got it? So after that, there was really no turning back. She started paging people with a voice there and delivery time was there. I lost count of how many people were there after about 19. I kept thinking, damn, that's a lot of people for one baby. I pushed a few times and he popped right out. But something was wrong. No crying. They handed him off before I could even see him and took him to a table where he was surrounded by doctors, nurses, and later I found out respiratory therapists. I started crying because I didn't know what was going on. I asked and no one answered. They wheeled the table out of the room, and just like that, my baby was gone. So the room is almost empty now, just a doctor and a few nurses. They're pushing on my stomach and doing the usual after-birth stuff. The doctor started shouting orders through that voiceover again, but this time it's get operating room 3 ready, stat. Then she says, I can't wait. If we don't stop the bleeding, she's going to die. Then she shoves her arm into my birth canal and scrapes. I can see her fingers through my belly, and the pain makes me want to pass out. I don't. I just scream and cry for my mom to help me. No one stops it. After she stops, I just lay there, feeling violated and numb. She had just saved my life, but I couldn't realize it in that moment. I asked about my son, and they told me I could go down in a few hours. I got moved to a room and fell asleep. So when I woke up a few hours later and asked to see him, they said sure. I remember the hospital being quiet, almost eerie. I went down to the NICU and asked for Taylor. A nurse led me to a room and said, That's him. That's your baby boy. I looked at the tiny baby in the clear box, hooked up to so many wires, and it hit me that I had cheated death to be his mom.
Frustrated, impatient, and I cry. It seems my work is never done, and I just want to run away sometimes. But then I see the faces of those who died to wear my shoes. They do not have a son or daughter to tell them I love you. And in that moment, I'm arrested by how blessed I really am. That God would trust me with his best. And I'm grateful that I am a mother. I am a wife. My kisses have the power to dry tears.